All right. So this week, do you have any games that you are particularly interested in watching
Uh, we
that
have
you
a
think are going to be interesting or
we have a lot of ranked on
anything
ranked
like that?
matchups this coming weekend. We got a couple two top 10 matchups this week that are going to be really exciting. First of all, one that's going to be close to your heart and I'm sure you're going to be watching all every second of Cincinnati, number 9 Cincinnati or number 7 Cincinnati, sorry, at number 9 Notre Dame. That's going to be 2:30 Eastern, of course, on NBC. I am very excited with this game. I think Cincinnati. This is a toss-up game. I think these are two evenly matched teams. Two teams with great. UC's defense doesn't appear to be as good as it was last year, but it is still very good. And Notre Dame, kind of in a similar boat. Their defense isn't as good as it was last year, but it's still pretty good. But both offenses can be suspect at times. So I think it is two very evenly matched teams, two teams that are going to know each other pretty well because Marcus Freeman, obviously defensive coordinator for Notre Dame, Brian Kelly, obviously former head coach of Cincinnati. So I think it's a great matchup. What do you think? How you feeling?
Yeah. So there's just so many storylines with this game. Like right now, it's really weird, honestly, being a Cincinnati fan because normally Cincinnati doesn't get a ton of national media attention. Um, and like this week, we are getting like a significant amount of national media attention. Like every time we've gotten that game, that marquee matchup, I think UC was a few years ago maybe was on College Game Day with UCF, but it was
Mm-hmm.
at UCF. Um, and so like normally it's someone else in the spotlight. This week it's Cincinnati, and it feels really weird. That being said, I'm too nervous about this game to be excited about it. Um, I've watched Cincinnati lose too many of these like important games. I've watched the teams that I love lose too many of these important games, walk into it and just get blown out. And then it's like everyone was watching that happen and we blew it.
Yeah.
And I'm just, even if UC loses, I'm just really hoping it's not a blowout.
Yeah.
Like I hate to be like that fan, to like, but I'm kind of trying to like prepare myself for the worst. I'm gonna watch every minute of this game. I have a wedding this weekend. It's on
That's right.
Saturday.
I forgot about that.
The wedding starts at 2 p.m. And I was speaking to the groom on the phone the other day, and I was like, "So, how long are you expecting that ceremony to last?" And he was like, "Don't worry, it's going to be a 20-minute ceremony. You will have time to walk from the church to the hotel bar and have plenty of time to watch kickoff."
Nice.
And I was like, "Wow, you're really thinking of
Beautiful.
me." And then the actual reception doesn't start till like 6. So I'm gonna have like a full 4 hours to watch that game.
Yeah.
Like really tailored that wedding around me. Truthfully, could not have come out any better.
That's funny.
Um, but no, there's just so many storylines. I forget who is it. Pete Thamel, for Yahoo Sports, he's a reporter for Yahoo Sports. Did a he got an all exclusive like week long pass to Cincinnati football, and he followed Cincinnati football around the week prior to the Indiana game. And he just released it like I think yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a really good story, and it like hit on so many of the different pieces that are like driving at this game and how it's a culmination of Cincinnati's like existence as a program because locally all the local sports newscasters that have been around for a while, like one in particular, he actually grew up in Cincinnati, went to UC, and he was talking about how when he was a kid, him and his dad had season tickets to UC games, and they were in Conference USA, and they were lucky to draw 5,000 people to their stadium. And now you go to a game, and I mean, tickets are still relatively inexpensive, but you can't find a seat.
Yeah.
It's a different experience. It's a different university, and
It's a
it's
credit.
so
It's a credit to the athletic department and the university itself, how far they've come over just 20 years or
yeah,
so. It's really not that been
yeah. No,
that
truthfully,
long. So
since right about 2000, maybe a little bit before that, they've been kind of a program on the rise.
yeah,
And it's been steady. They've had like flashes of like really good. And honestly, I even just read an article because I've always kind of had this bad opinion on Brian Kelly, uh, basically because he left and there were like some circumstances around him leaving. Like I get it, you got to follow your dreams, you got to go, and that's fine. But there were circumstances like leaving in the middle of a team banquet right before the bowl game, like days before the bowl game. It was just like it was a bunch of
rubbed you
bad
the
looks on
wrong
bad
way.
looks.
Yeah,
Yeah, it rubbed you the wrong way. And I read an article like that basically it was from a Cincinnati reporter, and he's like, Brian Kelly didn't know us anything, and he brought us to places that we never could have expected. Because frankly, we were ranked third in the country going into the game against Florida in 2009, and we never like no one in Cincinnati, nobody ever expected Cincinnati to be that good
yeah,
ever.
yeah,
We expected to, be at the level that maybe Marshall is. That's what we were hoping.
yeah.
Those were our goals. And Brian Kelly literally brought us to a place that we didn't even realize we wanted to be. And
He
it's like,
set the bar
wow.
higher. He without Brian, with the benefit of hindsight and like being 10 years away from that ugliness of how he left and everything. You look back on it and you're like, all right, Brian Kelly might have been the greatest thing to ever happen to UC football, because he put UC on the map, on the national map for the first time, and they
I
had a
mean,
couple. Go ahead.
sorry. No, I mean, he developed, not only did he develop, the team, but he made it cool to go to UC games. Like
Yeah,
he was out there literally knocking on doors of fraternities, being like, "Hey, here's a keg of beer. You guys should come to the game."
yeah,
Like that's the kind of shit he was doing. He was out there like getting people to donate to the football program so he could. After he left, actually, there's a program that was started by an entire like donate. The only thing that this donation goes to is private planes for UC coaches, all of them. Any coach can use these private planes. They fly out of Lunken Airport. Like, how awesome is that? How many other G5 schools have that?
I would
I
venture to
would
say
care to bet not many.
less than three, like three or less,
I like,
maybe.
and it's seriously like, oh, you want to go recruit someone in California? Okay,
Here's
here's
the
a
plane. Uh-oh.
California. Um, and so that was something that was a result of Brian Kelly. And so I really do think that looking back on it and reflecting on it now, it feels good to be here.
Yeah,
Even if we lose, it feels good to be here because I know that the future is only going to get better because we're joining the Big 12. The mindset of college football changes when you're in a power league
yeah,
for some reason.
yeah,
And as a fan, that's really exciting.
yeah,
Now, as someone who's judging this game, I think that I also agree with you. I think that these are two very well matched up teams. I think that I'm looking at it. I think UC's offense has the edge on Notre Dame's offense.
slightly, but I quarterback alone, I give the edge. I always look at the quarterback first, and I take Desmond Ritter over Jack Cohn literally 1,000 times out of 1,000.
Yeah, same. And I think that like is an important piece of this. And then I also think the defense is a solid. I would pick Cincinnati's defense over Notre Dame's defense at its current pace. Because like I look at last week against Wisconsin for Notre Dame, and the defense looked good, don't get me wrong, but I also don't think that Wisconsin has a very good offense.
Yeah.
One, I don't think they have a very good offense. But two, like, okay, they got the one pick six. Okay, all right, he's flustered. So then they get another. Then they get another. Like, is that actually Notre Dame's defense, or is that just Grant Mertz getting frustrated
Yeah.
and throwing picks?
You're playing in an NFL stadium. Like, you're playing Notre Dame. You're on national television. Like, he's just still a young quarterback, so I can like he probably just got a little flustered.
Yeah. So not to take away from that win, because it was a big win and they won by a significant margin. But it was close throughout the whole game
until the fourth quarter.
Until the fourth quarter. But that's when good teams win.
Yeah.
Straight up. That is when good teams start winning games.
Yeah.
You hang around other good teams, but then you're better. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm feeling a little. I would have rather been the underdog going into this from Vegas.
Fair enough.
That was the only thing I wanted that I didn't get. Like, you don't ever actually want to be the underdog, but I kind of didn't want to be the favored party here.
Yeah. Vegas is really we're just not on board with Notre Dame. They had them as 6.5-point underdogs to Wisconsin, and now they're underdogs at home to Cincinnati. So, all right, that was we spent about 10 minutes there on one game. There are a bunch of other good games this weekend. The other top 10 rank matchup is Arkansas going down to Athens, playing between the hedges at Georgia. That'll be a big time matchup. That's noon on ESPN. Arkansas, I apologize to them in our week 4 takeaways video. I think that the spread on that game is kind of absurd, but it will be a pretty good game. Another one another big time SEC matchup, Alabama Ole Miss. That is going to be a shootout. Yeah. Ole Miss, I think, is a serious threat to win this game. I think if Alabama's going to lose in the regular season, it's going to be this game. The next toughest game I think they would have would be Georgia in the SEC championship, but I don't know. That's going to be a good game. It's the SEC game on CBS.
So I think I have a hard time judging these SEC games. And the reason I have a hard time judging them is because I just don't watch the SEC. Like, I know that sounds crazy, but the SEC bores me. Because it's just like, oh wow, it's the mini NFL, but it really is the mini NFL.
Ole Miss.
That being said, I'm excited for both of these games. Like, I like Ole Miss. I like how they play. I love Lane Kiffin. I love the drama that came from PTI or whatever this week. That was a moronic take.
Yeah.
That guy does not know what he's talking about.
He hasn't paid attention to college football in like 10 years. It's like, that's like a 10-year-old take.
He doesn't know what he's talking about. Yeah. That being said, I feel that Alabama is going to be fired up because I think Nick Saban is upset about how poorly they played against Florida. So, like, I'm feeling not so great for Ole Miss in this game, just based off of the circumstances. I also have the Arkansas-Georgia game. I don't know who's going to win that game. Actually, I think Georgia's going to win that game, but I don't know by how much. It could be a lot, or it could be a very close game.
I think we're really going to find out how good this Georgia offense is this weekend, because Arkansas's got a good defense. They shut down.
I think we're going to find out, like, if Arkansas is for real.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, I have a couple games. Well, one particularly that or two that I'm interested in as I was going through here. Iowa at Maryland.
I had 2 games on Friday night that I was paying attention to.
Is the other one BYU at Utah State?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Okay. So I think I'm wondering if BYU is going to be state champs. I think there's a very good chance they're going to be state champs this year.
This is for the state Utah championship. State.
Yeah, it is for the state championship. But I'm more interested in talking about Iowa at Maryland, because do you know who has put do you want to know who RG3 has on his Heisman voter list, like, as number 1 right now?
Is it to his brother Tagovailoa?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's played
Yeah. So
well.
I mean, I don't know. He has played well,
They
and they're
got
undefeated, and Iowa's undefeated. So what happens if? Here's the thing: what happens if Maryland wins this game? Are they a top 5 team? Do they make the top 5?
they should have.
Like based because I mean Iowa based off how. Sorry, I don't mean to go on a ramble, but like they're not a top 5 team.
No, they're not.
They're not.
The,
But where do they get ranked if they win?
they've definitely slide them
If
into
they,
the
if,
top 20. Like Maryland, if they win this
I think
game,
they
they
slide into the
probably.
top 10.
I don't know top 10. They'll probably put them at like 13, 14, somewhere in that area.
12 maybe.
Somewhere between 10 to 15, and Iowa drops down to like 20, 21, something like that.
Sure.
I think
Sure.
this is Iowa's first real test of the season. They haven't faced this is clearly the best offense that they're going to face, maybe all season, but definitely up to this point. So I think Iowa's definitely on upset alert coming into this weekend or coming into Friday night. It's Friday night on FS1, I think. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna be watching that game. I have a couple more on Saturday. I'm gonna be watching.
I have one game that you should all watch because it has major implications into the bottom 25 championship.
I know what you're gonna say. This I was gonna mention it, but this is the toilet bowl of all toilet bowl games. Like we say it with the MAC games, but it's not as funny because the MAC is just a sad football conference and in the grand scheme of things. We love
Hey,
it.
we beat Minnesota. The MAC beat Minnesota. Just saying.
We love the MAC.
Um,
The national consensus is cute, the MAC. But this is
yeah, we're matching.
legitimately the worst matchup like that I could possibly imagine.
Connecticut at Vanderbilt.
It's amazing. You think when they were scheduling that game, whatever, 15 years ago, when they scheduled this game, they thought that they would both be like the worst teams in the country?
So I looked at the game. You want to hear the top title from the Tennessean, which is a newspaper in Tennessee, I guess.
Yeah.
It says Vanderbilt versus UConn is a matchup of near historic college football futility.
I love it.
Here's another one from the Washington Post. And then this is why I think it's the bottom 25 matchup of the year, because the Washington Post is covering this game. Vanderbilt versus Connecticut is a historically bad college football game.
Yeah.
I love this. Like, I will be glued to my TV in my pocket at the wedding watching this game because, like, how often do you get to see such awful football?
So this game's in Nashville, and I am strongly considering going to this game.
Oh my God, you have to go.
Just,
You have to go.
I don't know if I could make it through.
They will probably pay you to go.
I'm looking at on Vivid Seats. I'm looking at tickets. Guess how cheap I can get a ticket. Just guess.
$4.
$2. I can get a ticket for $2.
Wow. Wow, that's insane, man.
I think I might have to go. I might try to get a couple people like, hey, you want to go watch the worst college football game that's ever been played?
I mean, truthfully, yeah, it's gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah.
Do you have any other games that you're looking at?
I have three that are just kind of Michigan's playing at Wisconsin. I think it's gonna be a boring game, but it's a pretty significant game for Michigan. I think that's a game that Michigan 10 times out of 10 loses over the past 5 years or over Jim Harbaugh's.
Yeah.
So I think if they're going to be a serious threat, they need to go into Madison. They haven't won at Wisconsin since like 2001. So this isn't just a Jim Harbaugh thing at Wisconsin, but this is a Michigan thing over the past 20 years that they haven't been able to go into Wisconsin and win. Oklahoma is playing at Kansas State. I joked with Cody before we started that this is the week Oklahoma loses because they always lose to Kansas State. Go.
You can see it.
Yeah.
I can see it.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about Oklahoma earlier just not being that great, and I can see it. I'm going to throw in two that, like, one is Texas at TCU.
Good uniform matchup.
good uniform matchup. Also, like for some reason, TCU always has Texas's number. I don't know why.
Texas is back this
Um,
week. Evidently, everybody says Texas is back after they put up 70 on Texas Tech.
that was a
Didn't you?
that did my I did bet on that game, and my Texas Tech +7 did not hit.
You meant
Um,
Texas Tech +7 in the first quarter, right?
and even that didn't hit. Um, so I grossly misunderestimated. I underestimated Texas. So I'm not going to do that again. But then my other one that I have is Louisville at Wake Forest. This has to be like one of the biggest games for Wake Forest. Like every game now that they're ranked is going to be like the biggest game in program history, to be honest. But like this is a big time matchup for them. Like they're favored, and Louisville's still a good team. Like they look bad against Ole Miss, but I think that's more on Ole Miss being good than Louisville being bad. Um, so that's going to be a decent game. What's your last few?
I have one last one that I wanted to highlight, and it's another great
Sure.
uniform matchup. It's another ranked on ranked matchup. It's Baylor at Oklahoma State.
Oh yeah.
I love the way that Baylor
Oh
started the
yeah.
season. They got the upset win against Iowa State last week. I think it's going to be a pretty fun matchup on Saturday night.
I agree. I think it's going to be a great matchup. And it directly beneath that on my screen is Liberty at UAB, and I just think that that's a really fun matchup too. Two pretty good Power Five teams. But back to Baylor on Oklahoma State. That's a fun game.
Dude,
With
that
both of them being ranked, it's so much more fun.
I guess Oklahoma's still the favorite for the Big 12 right now, but we both are pretty positive that Oklahoma's going to lose one or if not more of these games once they really get into Big 12 play. That those two teams
Yeah,
might be some of the leading candidates to make the Big 12 championship. Iowa
I don't
State's now
feel
lost
great
twice,
about
so
Oklahoma State beating them. I don't feel great about Oklahoma State beating Oklahoma just for some reason. Like Oklahoma has Oklahoma State's number. Like they just win
yeah.
in that game. Like it's all Stillwater, fucking or Bedlam or whatever they call it, and it's like, yeah, it's a rivalry game, but like, have you looked at how many times Oklahoma State's actually won? It's like
Yeah.
they played like hundreds of times, and Oklahoma State
Not
has
hundreds,
won like
Cody.
20 times. Okay, like 80 times, and like Oklahoma State has won like 1 out of 5.
Yeah.
Um, so
And
just
that
like
might
don't
even
feel
be
great about that.
generous.
Yeah, it might be. But Baylor, I feel better about because Baylor competed for the Big 12 championship a few years ago. So I think that we kind of forgot that Baylor has the potential to be a good team.
Yeah, well, and I really like what Dave Aranda. He come in and changed that program. I think when we were talking about Baylor and the state of the conference series, I was kind of like, this guy could be the next. Because Baylor has had a. I mean, obviously Art Briles went down in fire and he's in hell now, but he was a good coach at the
I,
time he was there. And then Matt
I
Rule,
think he actually coaches at a high school
he does coach at a high school somewhere, but in my mind, I like
in
to
Texas somewhere.
imagine that he's just down in hell somewhere, just
So
coaching the Hell's team. I don't know. And then Matt Rule, I think,
Hell's Angels.
yeah, Hell's Angels. There it is. But I do like what Dave Aranda's done there so far. He's got Baylor bounced back after they
I
had a
agree.
down year last year. That's
I agree.
that's all I had for the games this weekend. I'm
Yeah,
looking
I don't.
forward
I
to
don't have any others to specifically highlight that you should watch
Fresno
that I think
State,
are going to be interesting.
Hawaii in the
Yeah,
late.
Fresno gets a trip to Hawaii this
Yeah.
week for winning the Pac-12 South.
Yep.
Um,